everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to paint a pumpkin in oil-based paint markers. These are the Pebeo 4 Artist markers, set of 5. They come in yellow, red, blue, black, and white. Since they are in oil-based markers, I'm using a odorless mineral spirits to blend them and just my regular oil paintbrushes. I'm working on a 5x7 canvas because these are relatively new medium to me and I didn't want to work on a large piece. I started out by sketching my pumpkin with a yellow marker and coloring it in with a base coat. I'm not being too careful because I'm going to go over it with mineral spirits later and blend it all out. So the parts where you can see that are still white, they'll be blended out later on. I did have a little canvas paper panel next to me where I could mix my colors, but I ended up doing a lot of mixing on the actual canvas itself. I'm using the red marker to color in the creases of the pumpkin where I want it to be a darker orange. Here you can see me using the mineral spirits to blend out the paint. I was able to get nice, soft, neutral colors once I blended it with the mineral spirits, which surprised me because the markers on their own were so bright and vibrant. I noticed that when I used more paint thinner, I got a more transparent look. When I used less paint thinner, I got a very nice opaque look. Here I'm going in with the yellow marker as my stem. I'm adding a little bit of blue to mix together in green. I'm only using a very small amount of blue because I don't want it to overpower the yellow and get too strong of a green color. I'm using the odorless mineral spirits to blend out the marker. At this point, I did use the palette paper next to me to lay down some of the yellow marker to pick up with my brush. I noticed that the paint was still thick, still wet on the canvas, and I didn't want to go over it with the actual marker nib itself. I'm layering on more layers of paint to get more of an opaque look and blending it out with the mineral spirits. I'm mixing some orange on my palette paper to add to the stem to get more of a brown color. I wanted it to be more natural looking and less bright, vibrant green. I wanted to make a gray background to make the pumpkin stand out more, so I'm using the white on the palette paper itself because I noticed it flowed a lot better on the paper versus on the canvas. I'm using a larger brush to do the background because my smaller one was just a little bit too small to make a smooth blend. I'm mixing just a tiny bit of black with the white to make a very pale gray, and I went with the black itself right under the pumpkin to get a darker shadow. I did at this point go in with the white marker on the canvas itself, but I did notice that compared to the other markers, I just had a little bit more trouble getting it to flow on the canvas versus on the palette paper. I'm using that bigger brush to blend out the black and the white and the shadows underneath the pumpkin. I would recommend keeping a paper towel on hand where you can blot your brush off. I noticed that when I had more of the paint thinner on my brush, I got more of a streaky blend. I would also recommend having a little bit of a softer paintbrush to blend. Mine was a little bit older and cheaper quality, and that's why I got the streaks. I'm layering on more black and white paint to get more of an opaque background. I went in with my mop brush at this point to get a nice, soft, smooth blend. going back in with the red marker to add more paint into the creases of the pumpkin. I noticed once the paint had time to dry on the canvas a little bit, the marker went over the canvas a lot better than when it was still wet. I'm adding more yellow paint onto the pumpkin to add more vibrancy and more opacity. I'm going in with a little bit of blue to add some shadow to the base of the stem. Finally, I'm adding some white for the highlights on top of the pumpkin. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe.